Let's take
Is that it?
Andrea in Salt Lake City. I believe first-time caller.
How are you guys doing? Taz says hello, by the way.
Hi,
Taz is
Taz.
drawing the show, I assume.
MVP.
Absolutely. Yeah, aliens. I don't think that if we do find alien life, it's going to be because they came here. It's going to be because we went out there, and I think we're going to be sorely disappointed by what we find.
You think we're going to get there before they get here? That's interesting.
Well, yeah, because the alien life form we're going to find isn't going to be some being up and walking around. It's going to be like space moss or something. I mean, it's going to be.
And won't that be terrible?
All overthinking.
Won't that be terrible if we go and we find a planet that is looks like a paradise, and then there's just kind of single cell organisms in there? You know,
What a waste.
Yeah, a waste of a big trip. Andrea, you can hang on the line here. I want to get the take on Sarah Silverman is getting in trouble in the right wing media because she said that democracy. I'm going to play some sound bites here and tell me if you think she's getting an unfair break, because I tend to not like. I tend to go to bat for comedians. They can, in my book, they can say whatever they want. Here's Sarah Silverman.
As patriots, I think we should strive to see ourselves in each other, whereas I feel that the nationalist view is to see yourself and then others. You know, America's motto is E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. By the way, if you're not going with a Latin motto, like, what are you even doing?
Not terrible. I don't think it's terribly funny. I don't want to say that it's a funny monologue that she's
forced
doing.
laugh at the end. What was that?
But she is just another quick soundbite here from Sarah.
Out of many, one. That is what the country is about, okay? There's a very, very far distance from the very similar sentences of we are one and we're number one.
Okay, that's her observation. She also said the quote about patriotism. She said patriotism is perverted, and so the headline was Sarah Silverman, patriotism is perverted. I want to charitably say that I think what she was saying is patriotism has become perverted in our society because of blah 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 whatever. Okay. Her take on E pluribus unum. She's saying basically that E pluribus unum is incompatible with the MAGA mindset, with the America First. I don't think it is. What do you think, Joe?
I think it's a step in the right direction because I read some further transcripts of that, and when she said citizenship doesn't, I'm paraphrasing here, but she said being an American means being a citizen, doing this, and as soon as I read that, I said, oh, a citizen. That's a very rare thing to hear someone who's a leftish kind of liberal say, that being a citizen of the United States means anything.
Right.
So the idea that I think she is making a step in the right direction to treat people with different political views as they are not the enemy. They are people just like you who see things differently. I've always been very disappointed in the liberal left in that they see. You could just say, white Republican from Idaho, and everyone's like, boo, hiss. Automatically, it's like in a silent movie. But then if you say, well, the president of Iran is going to come speak at NYU, well, they don't really have a problem with that. They'll protest Gavin McInnes, but they won't protest a man who led a country and said, well, we don't have homosexuals, so we're not killing them, we're not hanging them. So I think we still have to bridge that gulf.
It's like culture is above culture trumps all. Because if you're from a different culture, because they believe in multiculturalism, they're going to excuse, what's obviously a great deal of sexism in a culture. They'll excuse that because basically it's only it's
only Western culture that everything has to be. But I do think I haven't seen her show, but it sounds like a step in the right direction. And I do feel like some of the articles I read about her comments were portraying them in a way that was a lot more negative. I mean, again, the idea of E pluribus unum, becoming one. I would like to see more of that in the United States instead of everyone comes here and you stay a separate thing.
I think we might be giving Sarah Silverman a little too much credit.
You think so?
I do.
We're overthinking it?
Yeah, think about this. She was the one that told the military to take down Trump. She dressed up like Hitler or a Nazi on Colbert and to compare to Donald Trump. She's an anti-Trump attention seeker. I think her monologue was sincere, but I don't think we should give her that much credit. Yeah, I mean, what happens is they did this Sarah Silverman, patriotism is perverted, and that's on Breitbart. I feel like sometimes they take things out of context in a way that the left does to conservatives. And so it's like, I don't mind. I wrote this for
it reminded me, now this is going back to 2009. I wrote this for Breitbart. In the early days of Breitbart, Andrew Breitbart came to me and said, do you want to write essays for my site? I said, yes. So I started writing some essays. One of them was called Everybody Lay Off Janine, because everybody hates Janine Garofalo on the right. And so there was all this like, oh, Janine Garofalo, this and that. And I said, look, don't get mad at Janine Garofalo. She's a performer. She can say whatever she wants. And essentially what I was saying was this. They were mad at her because she said something about Republicans are racists. I don't know what the quote was, but it was essentially, oh, it's a bunch of racists. And they were like, oh, she's a big blah, 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 bleep, 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 whatever. I said, lay off Janine. She's allowed to say that. And guess what? Obama says the same thing, but he says it using flowery language, right? So my example was this. When President Obama repeatedly spoke about his being a long shot for the election because, quote, he has a funny name, or because, quote, he doesn't look like those other presidents on our money, quote, what do you think he was saying? He was saying you're racist. He was accusing the country of racism, and he was saying, I'm a long shot for the election because people don't want to elect a black president. So to me, I was saying, look, Janine just does it in a cruder way. She's a comedian. So lay off Janine. Guess what? They didn't get it at Breitbart. It was the most commented on article up to that time. I mean, Breitbart was in its early stages. But there were literally thousands of comments, and they were like, Shalou, you should be fired from this site. You're a jerk, whatever. But what I was saying was that it was almost like, we didn't have Trump in our world at that time. What I was saying that some people speak in a crude way and they get all the attention. So Sarah Silverman uses the word perverted and it comes out, democracy, patriotism is perverted. When in fact, she and Hillary Clinton agree on every subject. But Hillary Clinton is smart enough of a politician, or rather she's
cunning.
She's cunning. Yes, that she would never she would never use the word perverted and patriotism in the same sentence because she knows it gets taken out of context.
Cherry picked right to the top of the headline.
Right, which is why I want to, kind of usually lay off the entertainers, because I don't want people to have to speak like politicians.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why Donald Trump came out ahead of Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Was that everything she said is so focus group and so deliberate and so contrived, whereas, one of the jokes I tell is that the American people said, we're tired of the same old BS. We want some new BS. Because we've heard that. We've heard that before.
It's so true.
And that's what the
That was what Perot was. What was Perot except new BS for the early 90s?
Yeah, some charts. He had charts. We were like, okay.
He had charts. It's so true.
Listen, but then you look at Taylor Swift, who's not getting involved in politics, and that makes me like her more.
Yes.
So maybe as an entertainer, lay off the politics, keep it separate. There's a divide. People will respect you if you don't put politics in certain things. For a comedian, it's a little bit different. But for Taylor Swift, I actually like her. I went from a non-Taylor Swift fan to a Taylor Swift fan because she's not talking politics.
She said I couldn't have asked for a better year because she had like a gold record or whatever the heck she had. She had a great year.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not allowed anymore. They said, how dare you say 2017 was a great year? Because she didn't add in the resistance into her comment about her life.
Oh.
Yeah, if you're woke, nothing can be pleasurable or positive. Because they do go to those extremes. I had a line that I thought was funny where I said, I don't like when someone generalizes about a group of people. I really hate it because white people always do that. And no one in the audiences of New York City comics was getting the joke.
Yeah.
They were like, I hate them when white people do that too. It's come on.
Like,
don't you see how
joke.
ridiculous you are?
Yes. Right. You got to get, that's the kind of joke you got to work when you're out in the
Probably tough in New York.
Because they like to make everything all or nothing, and that's not the way the world works.
Yeah, just hearing the word white, I think people get nervous.
Oh, they start foaming at the mouth.
People are freaked out now.
Andrea, you still there?
Yes, I treat calling into your show like dialing 911.
Stay on the line, Andrea. No, the thing is, oftentimes I say, I respond, I leave Andrea hanging there, and then I say, hey, thanks for the call, Andrea, but she's already gone because we, oftentimes with a caller, just for tidiness, if there's a bit of silence, you kind of just press the button and let them go. But Andrea, thank you for the call.
Thanks, guys.
All right. We'll be back after the break on the Tom Shalhoub Show.